The United Arab Emirates is often imagined through a few striking images: Dubai's skyscrapers, luxury malls, artificial islands, and Abu Dhabi's oil wealth. But the country is more than a futuristic skyline in the desert. It is a federation of 7 monarchies, built on old maritime trade routes, transformed by oil, and reshaped again by finance, tourism, aviation, and global business. In just a few decades, the UAE moved from a collection of small coastal sheikdoms under British protection to one of the most influential states in the Middle East. Its story is about geography, wealth, migration, ambition, and control. To understand the UAE, we have to look past the towers and ask how a country with a relatively small citizen population became a global hub. The UAE sits at the eastern end of the Arabian Peninsula in West Asia, in a location that has always mattered. It borders Oman to the east and northeast, and Saudi Arabia to the south and southwest. Its coastline faces the Persian Gulf, with maritime connections to Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Iran, and it also has access toward the Gulf of Oman. This position places the Emirates near some of the world's most important energy routes and historic sea lanes. Abu Dhabi is the national capital, while Dubai is the largest city and the best-known international face of the country. In 2024, the UAE's population was estimated at over 11 million, but the people living there come from far beyond its borders. The country is not a single traditional kingdom. It is a federal semi-constitutional monarchy made up of 7 emirates: Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Sharjah, Amman, Al Quwain, Ras Al Khaimah, and Fujairah. Each emirate has its own ruling family and local authority, while the federal state handles national institutions and international representation. The highest state authority is the Federal Supreme Council, made up of the 7 ruling emirs. This council appoints the federal president, who then appoints a prime minister to form and lead the cabinet. In practice, Abu Dhabi and Dubai are especially powerful. Abu Dhabi has the largest oil wealth and political weight, while Dubai drives much of the country's global commercial image. Before oil, the region that became the UAE was part of historical Eastern Arabia, a world shaped by the sea. Coastal communities depended on fishing, boat building, trade, and pearling. The Gulf was not an isolated desert edge, it was a maritime corridor connecting Arabia with Persia, India, East Africa, and beyond. This long seafaring tradition helped create towns that looked outward, toward commerce and exchange. Pearling became one of the major economic activities before the modern oil era, supporting families, merchants, divers, and shipowners. Life was often difficult and seasonal, but the sea gave these communities a role in regional trade long before Dubai became a global business hub. Foreign powers also shaped the Gulf. Around 1500, the Portuguese arrived and established bases in the region as they fought for control of maritime routes and waged wars against Persian rivals. After the Portuguese were expelled in 1622, Dutch power grew in the straits and across global shipping networks. Later, British influence became decisive. By the 19th century, pearling and trade were important, but the Gulf was also troubled by conflict and piracy, which Britain used as a reason to intervene. Local sheikdoms entered agreements with Britain, forming what became known as the Trucial States. These were not yet the UAE, but the protectorate system shaped the political map that would later become the Federation. The Trucial States remained under British influence until the early 1970s. When Britain withdrew from its protectorate role, the local rulers faced a major question: would they survive separately, or combine into a stronger state? In 1971, the United Arab Emirates was formed, with Abu Dhabi's ruler, Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, becoming the country's first president. He remained in that role until 2004 and is widely associated with the early development of the UAE. Oil revenues, especially from Abu Dhabi, were invested into infrastructure, healthcare, education, housing, and state institutions. This was the foundation of the modern Emirates, a federation backed by resource wealth and a leadership determined to build quickly. Oil changed the UAE's trajectory, but it did not affect every emirate equally. Abu Dhabi holds most of the country's oil wealth, and the UAE has among the world's largest oil and natural gas reserves. Energy exports provided the money to build roads, ports, airports, schools, hospitals, and government services at extraordinary speed. But the leadership also understood a vulnerability. Oil wealth can be powerful, but it is not endless, and relying only on it can leave a country exposed. That realization shaped the UAE's strategy in the late 20th and early 21st centuries. The Emirates used oil money not just to consume, but to construct platforms for a more diversified economy. Dubai became the clearest symbol of that diversification. Unlike Abu Dhabi, Dubai had less oil, so it pushed aggressively into trade, aviation, tourism, real estate, finance, and logistics. Its location helped, but policy mattered too. Free zones, major ports, international airports, business-friendly regulation, and branding turned Dubai into a global crossroads. It became a place where companies could reach markets across the Middle East, Africa, South Asia, and Europe. Tourism added another layer. Hotels, shopping, events, beaches, and architectural landmarks made the city instantly recognizable. Dubai's rise was not accidental. It was a planned transformation from regional trading town into a service economy built around movement, capital, and visibility. The UAE's population is one of its most unusual features. Only about 11% of residents are native Emiratis. The vast majority are expatriates and migrant workers, many from South Asia, along with people from across the Arab world, Europe, Africa, and other regions. This creates a society where Arabic is the official language and Islam is the state religion, yet English is the most widely spoken language and the main language of business. The country's economy depends heavily on foreign labor, from construction workers and domestic workers to engineers, bankers, teachers, and executives. The result is a cosmopolitan but deeply stratified society, where citizenship, residency, labor rights, and opportunity are not experienced equally. Politically, the UAE is an authoritarian state, though it is often described as relatively socially liberal by regional standards. It promotes stability, safety, efficient services, and economic openness, and it ranks highly in areas such as housing, healthcare, education, personal safety, and the Regional Human Development Index. For many residents and investors, the appeal is predictability, modern infrastructure, low crime, international connectivity, and strong state capacity. But this model also depends on strict limits on political life. Power remains concentrated among ruling families and state institutions. Political parties do not operate in the way they do in liberal democracies, and public criticism of the state can carry serious consequences. Human rights organizations have repeatedly criticized the UAE's record. Reports have described imprisonment of government critics, torture allegations, harassment of families by state security, forced disappearances, and severe restrictions on freedom of expression, assembly, association, and the press. This is one of the central contradictions of the country's image. The UAE presents itself as futuristic, tolerant, and globally connected, and in many everyday ways it is more open than some of its neighbors. Yet political freedoms remain tightly controlled. The country's success, therefore, cannot be understood only through wealth and modernization. It also rests on a governing bargain. Prosperity and security are prioritized, while dissent is heavily restricted. Internationally, the UAE has become a middle power, not a superpower, but far more influential than its size might suggest. It is a member of the United Nations, the Arab League, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, the Non-Aligned Movement, the World Trade Organization, and BRICS, and it is also a dialogue partner of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. These memberships reflect a broad foreign policy that seeks connections across different blocs. The UAE uses investment, ports, airlines, diplomacy, energy, and financial networks to expand its reach. Its modern identity is built on balancing old and new, monarchy and globalization, oil and diversification, tradition and spectacle, openness to business and strict political control. That tension is what makes the United Arab Emirates so important to understand. If you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe for more explainers.